Napoleon reviews games. Let's start this by saying what I'm doing here. I want a no bullshit way to tell you if a game's worth playing. Because everything's subjective. Art style, story, game mechanics, all of it's subjective. Unless it's Concord, in which case everyone can agree that's garbage. It's dead now. I just want to give my perspective as someone who's played video games for a long time. A wide array of different kinds of video games. Someone who doesn't let a genre define whether or not it's going to be worth playing. I want to give my opinion as to whether or not something is worth playing, and you can take from the gameplay I upload and the other reviews I give as to whether or not you think my opinion stands out for you, whether or not you think it's something that matters to you. What I do have to say is I knew what I was getting into when I came to Slime Isekai. This game obviously showed you from a long time, and it's been out now for a while, but I also really liked the anime and the manga, so it felt right to add this into the collection of reviews that I'm doing. Unfortunately, it also felt wrong playing it. I think anime and anime games have such a foothold, a chokehold on the world, and they could have used that chokehold they have, that anime has, and they could have made a game that far surpassed just about anything else. But instead they went for, from my perspective, what was easiest, what was cheapest. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that cutscene that just played. It was cool the first time. After 100 times, after 1,000 times, did any of the people making the game actually play it? I feel that with so many games, that the people creating the games don't actually sit there and say, well, what would it feel like to play it? Because if they do, and anyone can see that cutscene 1,000 times and think, you know what, I'm really enjoying it, then I think maybe I'm the outlier. Despite knowing what this game was going to be like, and it not being my usual type of game, of course I was going to give it a try. I like all kinds of games. But it didn't change the fact that I knew what I would have loved from a game about that time I got reincarnated. However, it just feels cheap. It feels like they didn't want to make a game that it could have been. And that takes away from what could have been a game-changing game. They have an IP to a game that could have changed gaming. But instead they opted for what is perceived as likely to make them a few bucks. And that's disappointing, really. The storyline, more or less, is the same as the anime, as the manga. The fighting and combat is what you'd expect from a side-scroller, and the abilities are some of the abilities from Slime. But the mechanics, for me, are meaningless. The story is meaningless. All of it's meaningless because it feels like they're just trying to take my money. And of course, they did take my money. I will do anything to support the things that I enjoy, even if it's not specifically what I want. Because I know that money that I have will go towards the people that made the thing I enjoyed in the first place. And any support is good support. But that shouldn't take away from the fact that criticism is also important. I got the game when it was on special, so it wasn't costing me as much as it could have. But I also don't think that it's worth the full price. I will support the things that I like, but I will not burden myself if it's not going to be something I'll enjoy. And when they showed what they were going to be releasing, I knew that it wasn't going to be the next Dark Souls. It wasn't going to be something that gripped me, and it's not specifically because it's a cheaper end game. It's because they didn't put the heart that I think they could have put into it. The intensity, the world they could have put into it is just missing. I just accidentally pressed circle on all the things I was just saying, which is really disappointing. More or less, the sentiment I was giving was something along the lines of the game could have been better if they had gone after something more along the lines of Genshin Impact. You know, an open world game where you experience the lore of slime. You know, they could have even done it multiplayer, and you have a best friend that you go into the game with and, you know, experience the world together with. Whether it's going through the main story exactly as it is, versing enemies that actually get versed in the manga, rather than just random enemies. You could have had missions where it just goes on each of the main story points. There are times where you have to fight little meaningless enemies. They could have added that into the game. Or it could have picked a certain time in the story, dropped you in and said, hey, you're this random person coming to Tempest, and this is where the story's at. You go off on your own journey, but with the people who are in Tempest supporting you along the way. I think they had a really good chance of becoming Game of the Year. But they went for what seems like a cheaper, faster money grab. So all in all, I spent money on this game to support the people who own the IP. Because I loved watching the anime, I loved reading the manga. And I want to see more of it. I want more. So I will support under that concept, but I didn't buy it full price, and I don't think that its full price is actually what it's worth. This seems more like a phone game. Something that underutilizes the system that it's on. And that's disappointing. So this game, for me, suggesting it to you, is not a game that I'd spend money on. This is something I'd wait for to be either super cheap or to be given out for free on PS Plus or whatever system you're on's equivalent. Which is really disappointing, but that's what it is. This is no hate to the creators of the game, because I'm sure what they perceived might have been considered a good game for them. And there's definitely someone somewhere that really enjoys this style of game. It just so happens that seeing something fail to live up to its potential is disappointing. If you happen to be seeing this review and you haven't seen the anime or the manga, seen the anime or read the manga, then I'd suggest doing both. It's really cool. It's definitely got its usual anime moments, which could have been toned down a bit, but it's for a specific audience. It's for a specific reason. It's not completely unnecessary. And here's my little hot take on my controversial opinion on it. I don't think all fan service is perverse. I think sometimes it's built into the concept of raising people to normalize certain things, and thus to make them not weird. Take Mineta from My Hero Academia. The way he acts towards these characters that are fan servicey, everyone acknowledges is wrong. They can see the way this boy is acting perversely towards women who may show more than what you'd expect, and everyone dogs on him. They acknowledge he's bad. It allows the viewer to then watch Mineta get attacked for what he does wrong, to then teach younger people who are watching it, we don't act like this. It's not good. Then you have other ones like the fan service in the Tales of the Rings or something. The Tale of the Nine Rings? Some amount of rings. The anime, and that just seems overboard. I think there is a good in between where we could get that it's not just smut. It's something normal. Yeah. If you have a game or an anime that you want me to review, leave it in the comments. Otherwise, Slime Isekai the game. I'm gonna go platinum it, but I'm not gonna enjoy it very much. I've already seen it all, so watching the game's kind of pointless.